Hello, hello, good people. Hello. Welcome back to another car conversation or Make America Think Again with Shauna wherever you are hearing my voice or you can see my face. Hopefully you're here with us here on YouTube. Okay, so let's give a little update. We got some little news. We got a little news going on with the Diddy case. I haven't done it. I've been watching it. I've been paying attention, but I haven't been updating you on that. So today, the jury stated that they had reached a verdict. They reached a verdict on all but one count, the RICO count, which from the beginning, everyone has been saying that that was going to be the hardest to prove. Um, I can see it after listening to all the evidence. Um, Whether or not the jury is able to connect all those dots, I don't know. And it sounds like they are completely split. The terminology that was used was um, many, many unpersuadable opinions. So it sounds like they're split on this one count of the RICO charge. And there's one camp that is standing their ground, and there's another camp that's standing their ground, and nobody's trying to budge. So the judge said, hey, I'm gonna need y'all to work this out. That's your job as a jury. So come back in the morning, start over fresh, talk about it, talk it out, and y'all come to a conclusion. Because with the federal cases, you have to, all 12 jurors have to agree. There is something called the Allen charge when there's this partial judgment, which is where they are now. And I don't fully know exactly, what's the deal with that. But what I do know is this specific judge told them to come back tomorrow and work it out. Basically, continue to massage those conversations and try to pull this person or that person over to your side with the evidence, of course, with the evidence, by using evidence. So what Diddy is looking at, he's looking at 15 to life on the sex charges, prostitution charges, drug charges, etc. And the RICO is life. Okay. In the Southern District of New York, they don't play. So that's what he's looking at. He's 55 years old. So you do the math. I mean, that's a lot of time for somebody that's, halfway through life. My concerns, like I said, I have been watching, I have been paying attention. So here's a couple of my concerns. Number one concern is I can see the RICO charges because I can see the organization. I can see how the organization was built. He was the top guy. This KK woman was his right hand, or the VP, if you want to say that. Then he had his like soldiers. Well, he had some assistants, and then he had the soldiers. So he had the bodyguards and he has the assistants. The assistants would make sure, rooms, camera, lighting, Astroglide, baby oil, all those things were taken care of. Money got to where it needed to go and to whom it needed to go to. Drugs were picked up and made available to him for his own usage, but also, in my opinion, to get these young ladies addicted and these young people addicted. Not only the young ladies that were not only Cassie and Jane, and also some of the assistants. I mean, the assistants were using drugs. So he surrounded himself by with a lot of young, naive, hungry people. And when I say hungry, I mean hungry to start their careers in the music industry, whether that was AR or that was performing as an artist. He targeted certain people. They mostly were young. I think Jane was, when they started doing their thing, was in her early 30s or maybe late 20s. But Cassie was very young, very young. So it could be that the jury decides to convict him on the charges that are directly connected to Cassie versus Jane. To the naked eye, I'm going to say it this way, to the naked eye, it would appear that Jane was more cooperative and more doing things more on her own and more into it. But the if you understand the whole dynamics of abusive relationships, I could see how when Jane said a lot of, wanting to please him or wanting to make sure, she was taking the initiative because she thought that was pleasing to him. She cared about him. Um, yes, probably there was a connection in her mind to, I have to do certain things to continue to be taken care of. But here in the case, she was in court testifying on the stand. And as as recent as when she was on the stand, he was still paying her $10,000 a month rent. So I'm just saying, if you knew the dynamics of abuse, then you probably can see, because Jane's story was a little fuzzy, and I believe the Mia, I believe her name was Mia, her, although she was just an assistant, um, you can see that same abusive dynamics, those same grooming dynamics at play. Let me put it that way. I think that's the best way I can put it. So I question, one of my concerns was why there was no testimony from this KK. But also we heard a lot of evidence that clearly solidified that this woman was his right hand, and that people knew to go through her to get to him, or they knew to go through her to get things done. That nothing happened without Diddy's approval, and things had to go through her. So there was a definite structure. Okay, that's why I said I can see the organization. I don't understand why I do understand why they didn't necessarily need to call her to the stand. I would have called her to the stand, even though we have all this evidence that people have testified to. I would have called her to the stand. The sex worker, Jonathan, the one who got arrested in one of Trump's properties, and I said his name, got arrested in one of his properties. And I believe he's still in prison in Florida. And when he got arrested, he literally, in interrogation with the police officers, he went into his story about being a sex slave for Diddy. Um, and you can find this, just Google it. His name is Jonathan. I can't remember his last name. But the one incident I wanted them to bring him to the stand to talk about was the one night when he said that he set up his own phone, his own camera to record everything, because he said the two of them were so high on drugs and alcohol that Cassie had literally passed out. And Diddy wanted to continue going. So he's like, look, to cover myself in case something horrible happens to either one of them, but more so Cassie because she was passed out, he filmed it. He recorded it. They went through a whole process of buying it from him and NDA, et cetera. But he had talked about this when he was talking about what he got arrested for when he was at Felon 47's location. So I would have called Jonathan. Because to me that speaks to there's no, how can she get permission for anything if she's passed out? Like, seriously. And then you're telling this guy to continue? And so you want to film her while she's passed out and someone having sex with her while she's passed out? And then Jane. Oh, so there was a voice audio that was played. And in this voice audio, I guess they have been exchanging voice text. And Diddy said something, I'm paraphrasing here. He said something to the point was like, basically like you're tripping, you're gonna find yourself alone. I'm just gonna, ghost, I'm just gonna leave or whatever. You need to get over here and do your job like I'm doing my job. Now, people said that was vague. I don't think so. I think he was clearly saying, because Jane said that he, constantly hung over her head the fact that he paid for her residence and he was giving her money, etc. So, and that speaks to the coercion in it, right? Like he's hanging this, how I'm going to live, where I'm going to live with my child, because she's a single mom. Um, Keep a roof over my head. Now, it doesn't have to be a $10,000 a month roof over your head, but still. So I wish that, and I'm hoping that the jury remembers that, where he said, you need to get over here and do your job because I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job by taking care of you financially. So you get over here and do the job that I'm paying you for. That's the way I translated it. So those three things really stood out to me. Some were concerned, some I didn't understand why KK was not brought to the stand. I know why the defense probably didn't want to bring her, because they might say something that might open it up for the prosecution to come back. I just don't understand why the prosecution didn't. All roads led to KK and Diddy, right? All roads went through KK to Diddy. So why aren't we hearing directly from KK? Christina Quorum, for those of you who don't know. And then the sex worker, Jonathan, I thought that was pertinent material that needed to be heard in court and by everyone. I just heard the name. I started researching and searching and looking for all these male sex workers and listening to interviews, any interviews that they might have done. So that's how I discovered him. And yeah, so the judge basically said, it's your job to kind of keep pushing. And they were supposed to be, out of court or off basically for Thursday and Friday for the 4th of July holiday weekend. But it looks like, so tomorrow's Wednesday, they will come back in the morning. I strongly feel like there will be a verdict before Friday. They might come back that Thursday that they're supposed to be off, but I feel like it's going to be done by Friday. I also would like just everyone, because I've seen so many comments about these women and, from women, about women, by women, like, and what I want to say is, I would just say that if you look at everything that was involved, you had the age of not only the assistants, but Cassie when she started working with him. Very vulnerable, very green to the business, to the industry. None of them seem to be very street savvy as Diddy is, even though he tries to pretend that he's this, kind of classic man. He got a little street in him. So the ages, the vulnerability, the naivete, then the drug use that he impressed upon them, and especially the young ladies, getting them used to taking drugs to perform these acts. Cassie, admitted to being addicted. I believe one of the other assistants, Mia, I think Mia did say she went to rehab. So the drugs, the combination of the grooming, the drugs, and this whole hanging over their heads, this kind of promotion or launching of a career that they everybody wants when they first start out in their early 20s. So I hope that the jury looks at all of that information. I'm quite sure you can tell where I'm leaning. I believe he's guilty as sin. But that's up to the jury to decide. So I believe that we will know maybe as early as tomorrow, but I believe definitely by Friday. I think everyone is exhausted. I think since the defense rested and they didn't bring any new information or they didn't bring any witnesses forward, and then Diddy's not going to speak for himself. I feel like everybody's, the jurors might be thinking, let's wrap this thing up. So we shall see. We shall see. I believe we're going to know as early as Friday. That's my money's on, I'm sorry, Thursday. My money's on Thursday. So we shall see. But Diddy, done.